John with Luna Center here in beautiful Bath, Michigan, where Archangel Uriel and Archangel Raphael are having this beautiful dance here today between winter and spring. And I'm joined here today with the beautiful Megan of Goddess Goals.
Hi everybody! Welcome to my one of my favorite places that is here in mid-Michigan. And we are so lucky that John has founded Luna Center, and we are excited to share with you guys a little bit more about what John's vision for this spiritual center is, and just excited to share some joy and love with you guys all here today.
And we're going to have a conversation today about a crazy idea that I have. And we'll see what you think about it.
Sounds good. Let's go inside.
I think it's fair to say that each of us has a special place in our heart as well as our practice for the divine feminine, for honoring God as that divine feminine. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, my whole life has been dedicated to reconnecting to God the Mother. And in doing so, I have learned deep compassion and unconditional love and trust and radical acceptance of all of life, and have really been able to unlearn all of those debilitating belief systems that cause us to beat ourselves up and rush through this life and operate from a wounded ego. And reconnecting to God the Mother and honoring the divine feminine within myself and others has helped me to live a more peaceful and loving life. So
Yeah. One of my favorite ways to connect with God the Mother is to just stop doing stuff. To just take either a half day or a whole day. I like to just walk through the woods here at Luna and just really just kind of tune into that energy. It's just letting go, it's releasing, and especially in spring. I mean, you really feel Divine Mother in the spring, right? All of a sudden these plants are coming to life, all the geese on the pond are getting ready to lay their eggs and engaging in all their crazy antics.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the deeper that I go into this energy, it ends up in bliss. And from that place of bliss, all I want to do is just return some of that. And so I've had this crazy idea. Actually, the I part probably isn't right. I don't think it's my idea. I think it was given to me. And here it is. So I want to know your thoughts on this. My idea is to offer a retreat for women and to lead them in tea ceremony, yoga, meditation, playfulness, relaxation, and not even charge anything for this. And why would I do it? It's something that as you walk this path, you realize that it's all about the giving. It's about being of service. And in particular, we're having this conversation about, the masculine and the feminine. Is it okay for the masculine to just give to the feminine?
It's a loaded question, John. And I think that this idea is coming at a perfect time because it really, really, truly is so important for men and women to come back together again, for the divine feminine and the divine masculine to come back into balance, and to not just within, separate beings, but within our own individual selves, learning to honor both our inner feminine and our inner masculine. And when we are able to do that, once we start that work, really diving into our own wounded feminine and wounded masculine, and integrating those wounds into our whole being, and bringing into balance maybe some of the energies that we have been taught to suppress, which in our world right now is the feminine energy. Both men and women have been taught to suppress and erase their natural feminine essence, and that has left us with a deeply imbalanced world. We see it in how we treat our planet, how we treat Mother Earth. We take, we do, we build, produce, more. That's a very masculine energy, and that giving and that pouring forth.
That's the feminine energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited for the women who come to this retreat to meet their edge a little bit, because receiving from the masculine it's not something that we've been taught to do.
Well, that's one of my fears, is can women tolerate, can they embrace that this is being led by a man? Today's landscape, it seems like tricky ground.
Yeah, if you were asking me this question 5 years ago, I would have assumed that there were strings attached. I would have assumed that you were, had a different motive, had an ulterior motive, and I would not have trusted the integrity of your desire to hold space for the feminine, and to give to the feminine, and to honor the feminine. But that's because 5 years ago, I was not able to honor my own feminine quite yet. I was not able to give the space to my own feminine softness and slowness and stillness and compassion, and I was still very much so in that wounded masculine mentality of it's a dog-eat-dog world, and there's competition, and it's us versus them, and people are always trying, especially men, they're always trying to get something from you and take something from you. So yeah, if you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have been really hesitant. But like I said, since I've been doing my own inner work, and since I've been praying for the universe to show me positive, healthy expressions of the divine masculine, and bringing that into my life more, now I think it's perfect. It's a perfect idea. It's exactly what we need. It's exactly what the women of our community needs.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about when we met?
Yeah, so John and I met less than a year ago. I was hosting Ecstatic Dance, and he walks up, and at that point in time, not many men had been coming, and I immediately recognized that my fear, my wounded feminine that was fearful of the masculine, immediately, wanting to go into this like protective, I wanted to like step into this like very masculine, protective, tough kind of archetype, and
which is the reaction that when you're wounded you have, right? I mean, it's the shield, like it's the sword and the shield.
Right.
That's what you do when you want to protect yourself.
Yeah. And that's a powerful part of the masculine, that's like, I have learned to really honor that part of myself, my inner masculine, that's very protective, but I also know that I want to live in a world where I feel safe around other masculine beings, around men, and where I feel safe not only to be my full feminine goddessy self, but I feel safe to, receive from the masculine and not feel like there's strings attached, not feel like if I open myself to allowing myself to be taken care of and respected and receive from the masculine, that I'm gonna have to give something back, that I'm gonna have to and our relationship since we met last June at Adado Riverfront Park and for Ecstatic Dance, like you've been an answer to a prayer of mine, which was please, Great Mother, show me healthy examples of the masculine. Show me that I can trust the masculine again.
I love that. I love it when we connect something we've prayed for and we can see that it was answered. I think that's awesome. What I remember most about that time when we first met, we didn't really say anything except, "Hi, I'm John. Hi, I'm..." And then, we started the music, because I think I came a little bit late.
I think I said nice pants.
Something like that, yeah. I had these crazy Ecstatic Dance pants on. But I didn't know you. We hadn't spoken at all, and I just remember as we started dancing, I picked up on it right away. I'm like, oh boy, she's got some healing to do around masculine energy. But as I've reflected on that, I realized that I don't think I tend to trigger most people in that way. I think I triggered you. And I think I triggered you because you were ready.
Ooh. 100%. 100%. I needed to be reflected. I needed that wound to be reflected back to me. I needed you to come into my life and show me, hey, you still have some guardedness, you still have some fear, and this is a person, this is a human that is going to allow you to safely dissect that fear and safely, talk about it and share it and be honest about it and be open about it. And it's just been, and be held in it, and, and not be met with frustration or, annoyance or
impatience.
Yeah, it's been such a blessing to build our relationship and grow in our trust
and there's the mistrust of the divine feminine, and there's the distrust of the divine masculine, right? But for the sake of this conversation, we're kind of just going one way. Agreed?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about feminine and we'll do a future video, and who knows, maybe a future workshop, go the other way around, because I would love to delve into the parts of me that still feel fear and mistrust of the feminine. I've done a great deal of work on that, but I'm sure there's still places in there. As long as you're still breathing, there's still work to do, right?
Yeah, just deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah, no, the workshop or the retreat on June 11th, right?
Yeah.
Is for the feminine. It is for women to first learn how to better embody their own feminine softness and ease, and then to learn how to not only embody that, but embody that while receiving from the masculine. And the reason I think that Spirit has channeled this idea through you to offer to our community is because there is still such a huge wound for the feminine in our community. Many of us in my community, many of the women that I know, we have been raised as like diehard feminists. It's us versus them. Men are the enemy, and they can't be trusted, and they can't be relied upon, and we got to do everything ourselves, and we got to, do everything they can do in heels and bleeding, and like this crazy just wound that we have been perpetuating. Yeah. We have been passing down generation after generation after generation.
And thus this conversation.
Yep.
In some ways it seems absurd, to offer a retreat where someone will just get pampered and there's no cost, right? But we have to talk about it. And, I've been doing this work for a while, and women are really at the forefront of some of this stuff. But what I see is that it's all these women's groups together. Mm-hmm. We don't need men to heal. We can do it all on our own. Thank you very much.
Yep.
But, let's usher in a new time of mutual trust. That's what I think.
Yes, it is a dream of mine, and that's why I'm so passionate about ecstatic dance, is because ecstatic dance feels like a good way to kind of bring that into our community, because I do very much so understand and recognize that there is a need for sacred women's circles, and for women to just commune with women and just feel safe to really be themselves in a circle of women. But it's so important for women, for the feminine, to feel confident in her feminine being around men too. I work with a lot of women, a lot of my clients, a lot of women, they are not honest with their witchy ways, with their spiritual, intuitive practices. They're not honest about who they truly are with their husbands, with their male partners. Because they are still afraid that the masculine is going to judge that, is going to persecute that, is going to burn us at the stake, right? And John and I are really passionate about, healing that wound in our world and coming back together and, trusting that not only does the masculine honor the feminine in me, but the masculine is also honoring the feminine within himself. Men are also learning to awaken their own divine feminine intuitive powers, and
it's all about balance. We each have divine masculine, divine feminine energy, and the closer you are to balance, trust me, the much happier you are, the much healthier you are, as opposed to having one way out of balance with the other. Yeah. But another point that you said made me think of, is there some ulterior motive which is where you would have went 5 years ago, I heard you say. And that's actually an important part of this, and it's an important part of this center, Luna Center. You know, what is the motive?
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to do?
Tell us.
And, you know, what I'm trying to do is show people that if you want love, you've got to give love.
Mm.
If you want healing, help others heal. If you want to be forgiven, forgive others. It's really powerful work.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of the St. Francis prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me bring joy.
Lord, let me be an instrument of thy peace.
Yes.
I just love the beginning of it.
Yes. Allow me to comfort rather than be comforted, love rather than be loved. Yeah. I think that unfortunately, like in our world, there's, you know, the masculine, we've been taught that like the masculine isn't allowed to be soft and in tune with his connection to God, and isn't allowed to live by those principles of, you know, loving rather than being loved, and giving rather than receiving, and that's, I'm really excited about this space and about you as the leader of this space, as a divine masculine presence, to bring, you know, the love of the Great Mother back into the hearts of men, back into the hearts of the masculine, and it's the medicine that, you know, is going to bring balance and harmony back into our world.
Right. So are you coming to my retreat?
Duh! I can't wait. I can't wait to see, like, honestly, like, I'm curious to see how well I have been doing in my healing, right? I'm curious to see how well I will be able to really melt into my feminine and relax,
Yeah.
and be safe, feel safe in my body, and be able to let go of control.
Yeah.
And sit back and be taken care of and receive.
So there is the potential for women to be triggered by this, right?
For sure.
Because you're talking about some edgy stuff within. What advice would you have for women who are thinking to sign up, or maybe not quite sure though?
Meet that edge, you know, get really curious about why you might be triggered by this. You know, get really curious about the belief systems that you've been conditioned with, that you've been taught about men, about the masculine, about receiving from a male spiritual leader. There's a lot of wounds around men in the role of spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And just get really curious and recognize that any of those triggers that arise, any of that contraction, tension in your body that comes up, that is medicine. That can be one of the highest forms of medicine that you can receive. And our triggers, our fears, when we don't let them consume us, are powerful spiritual guides.
It brings it to the surface. And when things are at the surface, they can be healed.
Exactly.
Whereas opposed to being deep inside us and holding on, they're not going to get healed that way.
No. And I think the point of this retreat on June 11th is to allow women to literally create a safe space for women to bring those fears up to the surface, to be triggered, knowing that they're in a safe space, they are allowed to express those fears, express those triggers. They are allowed to work through them. In fact, you're going to be guiding us through some yoga and some meditation and a tea ceremony where we can share and really get down to the root of why we are so resistant to receiving and trusting the masculine.
And also just celebrate how awesome, how many women there are that we know that are so strong and powerful and drawing on their strength and courage.
Yeah.
Because it's not all about me and digging deep into what are my triggers. We don't always have to go there. We can also just celebrate, where we are and where we're going.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder. It doesn't always have to be work.
Right. It can be play. And that's one of the lessons that I have been working on and realizing how true it is, that you can go with a lot more ease if it's playful rather than it's work.
Yeah.
It's a mind shift.
Yeah. And I think what's going to be interesting about this retreat is like watching how, myself included, may start the retreat in like a kind of guarded, hesitant, a little bit, in the work mode, like, all right, how do I move through this? And then watching women relax into the joy that comes with being celebrated and celebrating each other.
Exactly.
And like also celebrating the fact that we as women are coming together to allow ourselves to be celebrated by a man. That is revolutionary right now. That is revolutionary in our world for a man, for men to come forth and be confident in sharing the fact that they celebrate women. They are celebrating the divine feminine. They are celebrating the rising of the divine feminine in our world. They are learning how to embody their own inner feminine qualities and energies, and they are learning and they are then teaching other men. I know you've done a lot of like men's work, a lot of like, working with men in a group setting, and
it's a very different approach in the men's work that I've done. It's fascinating to me how you bring in that aggression quite often and how you heal through that aggression. That's not generally the way the feminine approaches it. But when you have a whole group of men together, it's magic. But we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like kind of the work that I do with like the dark feminine and my like rage releases and allowing that dark feminine to use that aggression as alchemy, as fuel for alchemy. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. And I have a question for you before we kind of like wrap it up and everything. What have you noticed? What like improvements in your whole being health have you noticed as you have learned to honor your own inner feminine?
Oh, that's been such a long journey for me, and it's something that I'm very much still working on. And there's this, we start out with having all of these judgments about other people. It's just automatic, especially when we're younger. We don't even notice it. And then I think the step after that is we begin to notice how much we judge other people. And even then, you're still just scratching because all those judgments that you have of everyone else are actually judgments of yourself. And you begin to look at how you treat yourself.
Mm.
And, you know, the question that really kind of changed my life is I thought, would Divine Mother treat me the way that I treat myself?
Would Divine Mother treat you the way you treat yourself?
She would not. So it brings up a lot of softness, and that's what you need to move through this stuff. You don't need more of that hard energy.
Yeah.
There's already a lot of hard energy in this world. You know, it's very competitive, and you're supposed to do it all on your own, and there's these expectations. We've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's just breathe and soften into it.
Yeah.
How about we finish with some gratitude?
Okay.
I am grateful that you came out here today and are helping me with this retreat. And there's nothing in it really for you.
I mean,
it's not your retreat, although you're coming.
Yeah,
but
I get to receive.
You get to receive, but I'm very grateful for your help with this, and I hope to have 13 women sign up for this. 13 is a divine feminine.
It is. We have 13 moon cycles in a year. Yeah. Thank you. I am grateful to have had a prayer answered in a way more profound way than I could have ever imagined. Not only did the Great Mother show me that there are incredibly powerful examples of the healthy masculine in this community, in our community, but you also happen to be a profound spiritual leader, and you also happen to be creating this beautiful temple that was another prayer of mine. So you kind of fulfilled two prayers at once. And yeah, you've given me the gift of trust, and have continued to prove, I don't really like that, but you've continued to show me that it truly is safe for me to trust in the masculine again, and it is safe for me to unguard my heart and to give you deep, long hugs and look you in the eyes and not feel threatened or, simply the gift of being able to feel safe in my body around a man. It's huge. It's huge.
Let's hope we can help some other women with that shift on June 11th.
Yes. June 11th. June 11th. 13 women are invited to come here to Luna Center to learn how to feel safe in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your entire being.
And be pampered.
Yeah. From a man. From the masculine.
Hope to see some of you there, and maybe we'll do some more of these conversations.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think the next conversation is how do we as women create safe spaces for the masculine to trust us again? We're not the only victims in the theater of humanity. We are not. We are the perpetrators as well as the perpetrated, as we all are. And so that's the next conversation, I think.
All right. Thank you.